Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Human Rights Coalition District Attorney Forum. My name is Alicia Fagg, and again, I will be your host for this evening. A little about me. Why am I here? Well, I'm the founder of Volition, and we build relationships with business, government, charitable organizations, community members as well, to collectively bring the abundance to the deficit. This evening, I'm hosting on behalf of the Human Rights Coalition, and we have organized an informative forum to allow community to learn about who's running for the role of district attorney here in Philadelphia. Now, in addition to what I do on the side, I'm also the operations manager for Anti-Violence Partnership of Philadelphia. That is important because I, as well as many of us in this audience, we're fighting crime, we're fighting gun violence, and we want to reduce the cycle of violence here in Philadelphia as well. So this role as a district attorney is crucial. It's crucial for our safety here in Philadelphia. Now, the district attorney's role is important because they are responsible directly for preventing crime, prosecuting individuals accused of crime, and protecting victims of crime. Now, while the district attorney does not create laws, the district attorney designs and implements policies and initiatives to keep our community safe for our children, our adults, and our seniors. Firmly, again, the district attorney is accountable for crime and all things associated with crime here in Philadelphia. So listen closely as each candidate shares how they will impact your life, your children's life, your family lives, and determine whether we will elect or re-elect for the next term of district attorney. So without further ado, we'll begin our forum. First, I'd like to welcome to the stage Shakaboona Marshall. Shakaboona. Shakaboona will be our moderator and ensure there is order in the room. Shakaboona Marshall is currently the executive director of the Human Rights Coalition and is a former Kamala Harris presidential campaign organizer for the Germantown section of Philadelphia. In October 2024, the Kamala Harris campaign selected Shakaboona to give the Democratic national field pitch and introduce Kamala Harris on international stage at the campaign rally at the Allen Horowitz Six-Man Center in Philadelphia. Welcome, Shakaboona. And we have our hosts for today. We have Janae Taft. Excuse me. Yes, panelists. Excuse me. Thank you. Janae Taft is a former Kamala Harris presidential campaign organizer for the Nicetown section of Philadelphia. In October 2024, the Kamala Harris campaign selected Janae to give the Democratic national field pitch and introduce Kamala Harris on the international stage at the campaign rally at the Leopold Center in Philadelphia. Welcome, Janae Taft. The next panelist we have James Holloway DeLeon, and he is a former Kamala Harris presidential campaign organizer here in Philadelphia. Welcome, James. Next, we have Eden Tesfaye, and she is a former Hillary Clinton presidential campaign organizer. and recently is a former Kamala Harris presidential campaign organized in the Germantown section of Philadelphia. Welcome, Eva. And now I have the pleasure of introducing who you really came to see. First, I welcome to the stage challenger Pat Dugan. Judge Pat Dugan, please stand.
I got my minute now?
Soon. We're gonna have a coin toss. Gotta make it fun. And now, as you all know, we have the incumbent district attorney, Larry Krasner. From here, I turn it over to Shakaboona Marshall.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I thank all of you for coming today. On this fantastic day, it feels like a summertime day, but we really still in the winter. I'd like to congratulate my panelists right here, my all-star team. I picked them because they were terrific campaigners on the presidential campaign right here in Philadelphia, and we did our best, right? And so I wanted to recognize these sisters and these brothers right here. Thank you. I also want to thank our sponsors, Mothers in Charge, Just Nation, Second Justice, Philadelphia Neighborhood Network, the Charles Foundation, Why Not Prosper? Why Not Prosper now? Okay, thank you. Frontline Dads, Amistad Law Project, and Elition.org. So before I go on, what I would like to do is I would like to explain to everybody some of the ground rules of this forum. So some of you may be sitting on some ground rules right here on your page, so please take a look at it. It's not only for the candidates, but it's also for the crowd, right? So I just want to touch on a few of the ground rules. The moderator has the authority to enforce rules, redirect the conversation, or mute a speaker if necessary. Audience participation. Audience members should remain quiet and respectful while candidates speak. Applause and shouting or disruptions are not allowed. So please keep the volume to a minimum so we can hear the very important information that these two candidates bring for us today. And what I would like to also say is, for there to be respect and civility among the candidates, all participants must treat each other with respect. No personal attacks, name calling, and inflammatory language are not allowed. Such misconduct may result in a loss of a question. Respect the time clock. So we will be giving each candidate 1 minute to talk, 1 minute to answer, 1 minute to answer the questions. Direct questions, each candidate will be given 2 minutes. Now we will start off. Oh, before we start off, I'll be remiss. Yes, thank you. There you go. That's what I was looking for. So I have a personal statement that I would like to make from myself, Shakaboona Marshall, James Holloway DeLeon, and the Human Rights Coalition. As organizers, we felt compelled to use our voices to shed light on the complexities that trouble our city's criminal justice system and the leadership needed to repair, restore, and strengthen it. Philadelphia is at a turning point, and we must choose the best direction to ensure our public safety and lead the nation in ethical handlings of prosecution matters. And I want everybody to know, vote on May 20th. Thank you. Another thing, I got to give a special shout out to to my photographer. Where he at? He's around here somewhere. Photos by Click. That's Abdul Hadi. There we go, Abdul Hadi. So Abdul Hadi is my personal photographer. He will be taking photos of everyone. Thank you. So now we're going to start off with introductions. Each candidate will be able to have a minute intro so they can introduce themselves to everyone. We will start off with a coin toss. Alicia Fagg right here will be handling the coin toss. Larry Krasner, being as though you're the incumbent, you get to choose heads or tails and decide whether you want to go first or not. What's that? Tails it is, y'all.
Tails.
Can we see?
Yeah.
Tails it is. So I would like to introduce Larry Krasner for his first introduction. You have 1 minute. Thank you.
Thank you. So there's something Jim Carville used to say when he was trying to advocate on behalf of Bill Clinton, and it was, which part don't you like, the peace or the prosperity? So I have a question for you. Which part don't you like, the safety or the freedom? Because we got both, and we have a lot more than we had when I came into office in 2018. In no way am I saying that I did that alone. That's not true. This is a very collaborative effort. But which part don't you like? It's a pretty wonderful thing when you lead the nation among big cities in improvements in public safety last year, and this year you're doing even better than that. It's a pretty wonderful thing when you came into office with thousands more people in custody than you have now. It's a pretty wonderful thing to have safety and freedom and have them all at the same time. That is my intro.
Thank you. Appreciate your intro. Pat Dugan.
Hello, everybody. I'm Pat Dugan. Recently resigned as a judge. Was on the bench for 17 years, and I love my job. I absolutely loved it. I resigned to take this mission on because I don't think our city is safe. I don't think your neighborhood's safe. I don't think your steps are safe. I think if we look at 3,000 murders in the last 7 years, 10,000 people shot. I'm not talking about shot at, I'm talking about people who were wounded. I'm talking about free retail thefts. It was enough that made this former paratrooper decide to step down and get into the arena because I want to make your neighborhood, your family safe, my grandkids, my children safe. That's why I took this mission on.
Thank you. I appreciate you. So before we head on, before I pass it on to my panelists, I would like to tell y'all this is a human rights event. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. On your tables, on your chairs, there are QR codes for donation. If you'd like to donate to the Human Rights Coalition, please make a donation with your phone on the QR code. Thank you. I will pass it over for questions to my panelists.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. For our forum questions, we're going to begin with our group questions, meaning that each of you will have an opportunity to answer with 1 minute response. 1 minute responses. Thank you. All right. So we will start off in the policy category, and the first question is: as district attorney, how will you ensure justice for wrongfully convicted individuals while allowing for their full exonerations? And what changes would you propose to improve the current justice process for these cases? And we'll begin with our DA Krasner.
Thank you. Well, our record speaks for itself. I mean, the truth is that Philadelphia, in many ways, leads the nation when it comes to the exoneration of people, the vast majority of them completely innocent. We were responsible in one county for 10% of all the exonerations in the United States last year. And it is not just that. We've taken those cases and we have used them as a template for how you make sure that we don't put more innocent people in jail and violate more rights in the future. Look, for example, at our database on police officers who've done things that mean we need to tell the defense about it. Never existed before. Frankly, doesn't exist anywhere else in the country. This is revolutionary stuff. Look at the fact that we had a Brady czar whose job it was to make sure that throughout the entire office. the defense is getting the evidence that they need. Look at how strongly we have advocated for forensics that make sure innocent people don't end up in jail and make sure more cases get solved. That's the end of my 60 seconds, so I gotta stop there.
So, the Conviction Integrity Unit, let me tell you, if I am elected to district attorney, I will put that on steroids. I believe that one innocent person should not be in jail. I believe anybody who was convicted with corruption or some sort of non-ethical way of doing it, they should not be in jail. So I would put that on steroids. I will tell you, I am a little concerned because I think we have to do, sometimes you have to do a little bit vetting, more vetting. If you look at what Judge Goldberg said in the federal court, that there is a lack of integrity at times with the presentation from the district attorney's office. There has to be some adversarial system involved in this. And when they're saying you're not contacting the family members of the murder victims to say you're moving forward with this, and you're presenting it in a motion to a judge at federal level, that should not be happening. So I will make sure that we double check it and we vet it and we do it with diligence.
Thank you. All right. Next question. What have you done and what do you intend to do specifically to reduce mass incarceration and racial disparities in the Philadelphia criminal justice system? And do you think that it's an important goal for the Philadelphia district attorney? Beginning with you.
Is that 1 minute?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Can you just give me the question?
No worries. Let's repeat the question for the room and for the candidates. All right. So beginning with DA Krasner. What have you done and what do you intend to do specifically to reduce mass incarceration and racial disparities in the Philadelphia criminal justice system? And do you think that it's an important goal for the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office?
Thank you. So number one, we've done a lot to reduce mass incarceration. We have reduced the state prison population very substantially. We have a county prison population that under Lynn Abraham was 11,000. It was lower than that, but not a ton lower than that when I came into office. It's now about 4,000. I mean, this is unheard of. We're talking about a level it has not seen for literally decades. So we've done a lot in terms of reducing mass incarceration. If you go to our website, you'll see that it says there's 45,000 years of custody that we have not doled out, unlike our predecessors. That is a comparison. It's actually a little low. It's more like 50,000 years. And by the way, they cost $60,000 a piece. So somebody do the math on that. You'll figure out we're in the billions of dollars that we have saved taxpayers in incarceration. All of it available to do the things that actually prevent crime, like public schools, summer camps, job programs, things of that sort. We will continue to do that. We will do it vigorously, and we are doing it in a way that we are safer.
So yes, it should be a goal. We should try to knock down incarceration and certainly the disparity of people of color. And I've been on the front lines of that as well. During COVID, I was the president judge, and I went into the prisons to have a COVID court. I was the judge when the world shut down to go in and handle the cases of those men and women who were stuck in jail. I went in there during COVID to handle those cases. I've led the nation in restorative, rehabilitative programs, and the vast majority of the people that come in front of me are people of color. So I've been in the front lines, and I want to continue to do that.
Thank you both. What is your stance on cash bail? And how do you believe it should be used to protect the community while also preventing the disproportional impact it has on low-income individuals who are often unfairly affected by its overuse?
Thank you. I'm totally opposed to cash
Can we,
bail.
1 second. Can we please turn your phones off? Please turn your phones off. Thank you.
No, I have a question. What's my stance on cash bail? I'm totally opposed to it. I've been clear about that from the very beginning. It is a matter of state law, and unfortunately, it makes a lot of money for Republican legislators and private bail bonds people and counties that use it as a piggy bank to go into. So it will be a battle to get it eliminated legislatively, and therefore we have to work with it. What I have done specifically is in phase 1 of our bail policy, come up with a list of relatively low-level nonviolent offenses where my office does not seek any cash. That was different than what happened before, and it was a success. What we did when the pandemic came and things got a little more complicated is we tried to simulate a no-cash bail system because we had a new issue, which is whether everybody was going to die from being in custody. And that took the form of we would either recommend a very high bail or we would recommend zero bail, nothing in between. Even though that is not a perfect situation, we have seen the results. There are fewer broke people sitting in jail on low bails. We have slowly but surely moved that. And likewise, we are seeing a situation where people who do terrible things, shooting up a rec center, shooting 3 teenagers, are getting higher bails than they used to. So we are coming closer to a simulated no cash bail system, but ultimately we need the legislature.
Now, I gave him a couple more seconds because we took seconds away from him when we asked the question again, okay? You may go ahead, Pat.
So, nobody should be sitting in jail because they can't afford $150 to get out. That's an economic hold. I am opposed to that wholeheartedly. I can tell you that I came along to try to reform cash bail. I'm saying when I first got on the bench, I really wasn't. But through the seminars, realizing what D.C., Kentucky, New Jersey's doing, I became a believer. And we tried to institute something here in Philadelphia through a scientist, criminologist from the University of Pennsylvania, a guy by the name, I believe, is Dr. Burke. And it was a new risk assessment tool trying to knock down where we could get it down to between 7 and 11% of the men and women, 7 to 11% of those people who are charged with crimes, they would be the only ones that we're going to address whether or not they stay in or to get a cash bail. The vast majority, the 89 to 93%, were going to be released. I'm sorry, but you have to play well with your partners. It has to be a collaborative effort, and there was only one office that was opposed to us using Dr. Burke. And it wasn't mine.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Next question, please.
All right. Our next question is what city resources would you use to handle low-level offenses outside the traditional justice system in a way that ensures both community safety and prevents harm to individuals involved in quality of life issues?
Well, not a risk assessment tool because it's racist. And no, I wasn't the only one standing up to that. There was a public defender standing up to that, if I recall correctly. What other tools would we use? We would embrace the Philadelphia Police Department's pre-arrest diversion program, which saves people the trauma of being arrested, having cuffs, going into a jail cell, etc. We would work with all other entities. Look, here's the reality. We have grown diversion by leaps and bounds. We have gone from X programs for juveniles to 3X programs for juveniles. We've come up with a whole system for young adults between ages 18 and 25 with robust programming. We work with all kinds of nonprofits, we work with the city, and we access all these resources for the purpose of doing things that are restorative and that leave people in a position where they're not actually going to have a conviction that will disqualify them from getting a job. And guess what? It works when you do that.
Thank you. Next question. Go ahead. Sorry.
So I've been one of those judges who have handed out hundreds and hundreds of expungements because I believe also in second chances. I believe in it. Block that box, get that box off there. But I'm sorry.
What city?
City resources. I'm sorry. AMP is not dead. Alternative Misdemeanor Program. Despite the testimony from the District Attorney's Office and City Council the other day, AMP is not dead. Ask the City Council people who went up there last week and saw it. The Police Assistant Diversion Programs, we've asked to expand that to include that in AMP. AMP works, folks. I offered the District Attorney's Office. We were doing it 2 days a week up on 3901 Whitaker. We were doing it once at 55th and Pine, once at Broad and Champ, once at up at Academy and Red Line. And I said, why don't we do 10 days of court at 3901 Whitaker. Why don't we put more judges and more assets in it? And it was no. It was a flat out no. The diversion programs are going into the cellar. They are not expanding. You don't have to ask me. The stats are out there.
Thank you. Pat, before we go on, one more question. Can you tell everyone what that acronym means?
Of course, Alternative Misdemeanor Program, which was a very good program. Nurses, mental health specialists, they were all present. University of Pennsylvania and Temple Hospital are now partners in there at AMP. Ask those people who run those programs.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Okay. Moving into public safety. Okay. Still for both candidates. Beginning with DA Krasner.
All phones off, please.
Okay. How would you, if re-elected as DA, prosecute cases of public protest and civil disobedience?
So please check on that last answer when you get a minute, because oh my goodness, that was interesting fiction.
Are we going to comment every time?
All right, so-
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Krasner, no below the belts, please. Let's keep it respectful. Let's stand on your position.
All right, I just think the truth
No
is
attacks.
sometimes. But anyway, how would I prosecute them? Well, I think exactly the way I've done it, which is if Martin Luther King would do it, I ain't going to convict you. That's what it is. I'm not going to charge you, and I'm not going to convict you. If you are, harming people with violence, if you are, destroying large amounts of property, there's going to be a consequence, and we're going to get there in the very constructive way that we actually did with the unrest around George Floyd. But look, I didn't spend 25 years defending protesters for free because I don't love the First Amendment. I love free speech. I love nonviolent social change. We have to create that space, and I intend to protect it. It's part of my duty to uphold the Constitution.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pat?
So I'm just wondering, we could check those stats. Let's check the stats on an emergent adult program. When your attorneys came to municipal court and in front of 27 judges, your diversion head could not explain that to that bench. And it was a ruckus. It was unbelievable. Ask the people that were present.
Calm down, please. Let's have some respect.
We're gonna repeat the question.
Go ahead.
For Judge Dugan, with remaining
Public
time.
safety and protest.
Yes, public safety,
Got it.
public protest, and civil
apologize.
disobedience.
Yeah, so we could ask Mr. Krasner what I did when he had 10 of his clients in front of me during the casino issues, right? I'm the building trades candidate, but 10 years ago, or more than that, when they were having the protest outside the casino, Larry brought 10 of his clients in front of me, and they were found not guilty. Paul Hetzinger, his co-chair, was like, Dugan understands the First Amendment. You can look that up. It's in the newspaper. There was Occupy Philadelphia. They were being followed by the police for 45 minutes. I saw the case for 45 minutes. When they got under the convention center,
That's Tom.
it went blank, and I said not guilty.
I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that when the question is asked the first time, it's directed towards DA Krasner, he answers. So by the time we do get to Judge Dugan, he may have forgotten the question. So while he has to take pause, that is normal when you're not directly asked the question. Please note.
Thank you, Alicia. You want to do that question, please?
The next question or the?
Did he get to answer that question?
I did.
Okay,
You did,
next question.
and from here on out, the panels, while we're on two candidates, we will just repeat the question. Okay? We'll repeat the question. All right? Give it up for the panelists.
All right. how can the district attorney's office protect immigrants, the LGBTQI community, and communities of color in the current national political environment and landscape?
There's a myriad of ways. One of them is we cannot break the achievement that we had of keeping PARS, which is electronic discovery, away from ICE. I was instrumental in that, and Jim Kennedy, the Mayor Jim Kennedy, agreed to do it as well. That's one thing. Another thing that we can do is we can make it very clear that we know what the 10th Amendment says. The 10th Amendment says Donald Trump cannot order my law enforcement entity or the police to become ICE agents. It's called the commandeering doctrine. We need to know the law. We need to assert that law. A third thing that we can do is we can make sure with ICE agents the same as with other law enforcement, that if they go beyond their rights and they start committing crimes, that they're held accountable. Yes, I will lock them up. In the same way that we have shown for that small number of police officers who have killed people, who have raped people, who have committed perjury, that we're going to prosecute them, convict them, and put them in jail, and we've done every one of those things in ways that are historic. We are going to give
That's time.
the same warning.
Thank you, Larry. That's time.
All right, I'm going to re-ask the question. How can the district attorney's office protect immigrants, the LGBTQIA community, communities of color, in the current national political environment and landscape?
So it's hard to disagree with what the district attorney just said about the immigration policies. The only thing I would say is that immigrants and all other citizens in our city should be treated like all of us. So some of the policies that occurred during these last 7 years is if you happen to be a person with bad paper, let's just say somebody says you're illegal, whatever the terminology is, but if you go in and rob a bank, and then the district attorney charges that person with possession of an instrument of crime because a pen was used, is that proper? I don't think so. I don't think we should be leading the charge to deport people, but we should not be downgrading some of these serious charges just because they have bad paper. That's not fairness. It should be just like every citizen in the city of Philadelphia. The crime that they commit is what they're charged with.
Thank you, Pat. That's time.
All right, so our next question is, what changes, if any, would your office make in the way the district attorney's office interfaces with other community and criminal justice agencies?
You know, at this point, we have an extremely collaborative, positive relationship with the police department, with the new president of the Fraternal Order of Police, with ATF, with FBI, with DEA, with the U.S. Attorney's Office, but we have a problem. His name is Donald Trump, and he is here to break things. And so what we're going to see is that all of those intact relationships, all that steady progress we've been able to make in a collaborative way is going to get fractured, and it's going to be a deliberate fracturing. What we need to do is we need to face that challenge and overcome that challenge. What's happening right now in the United States is effectively a fever. It's a disease, and we're going to have to get through it, and that fever is going to break, and when we get through it, we're going to look back, and we're going to figure out who actually stood up to this, which I absolutely intend to do, and I know this room is full of people who agree with that, and who was unafraid to condemn Donald Trump. I hope you'll ask that question of your candidates. Who's afraid to condemn Donald Trump?
As somebody once said, F around and find out, right? So that's what came out of our district attorney's mouth, and that's fantastic, right?
Hold up, calm down with all the applause. Calm down, y'all, please.
We have a resign to run rule in the city of Philadelphia. If you're running for president, you should resign and run against him. Right now, this is about the safety here in Philadelphia. We need to worry about the safety every single day out on our streets. Interfacing with other agencies, it's about time that there's some interfacing that's actually working. Because for 5 years when I was in these meetings with the mayor and city council, the district attorney, the public defender, the probation, DBH, there was usually one person who was disagreeing and didn't want to try to go along with the consensus on how to talk about gun violence. You can talk to the judges from CP Court, the leadership that we were in there, and there was only one office that was not playing well in the sand, and I'm sorry, but it was the district attorney's office.
That's the time. Thank you.
Okay. DA Krasner, how can anti-violence community programs help prepare formerly incarcerated people for future life experiences?
This room is full of people who know all about that.
All right.
How do you do it? You get them identifications, you get them therapy, you get them treatment, you get them job programs, you get them education, you get them educational loans, you do everything that is done in other countries that are way better at public safety than us. That's what you do. You help them meet their basic needs, and the ones who really do want to straighten out their lives are going to go there. If you look at our diversion programs, which are much more and much bigger than they used to be, you'll see the recidivism rate is way lower than the comparable group charged with the same crimes who get convicted. This is what you do. Every step that you take has to be in the interest of public safety and freedom. That's what we do, and we've done it very effectively, including with our micro-grant programs to support community organizations that do this kind of essential work.
I would like to add a question on. Do you think that we have a great deal of over-sentencing here in Philadelphia?
I think that it has gotten way better, and there's no question that the numbers support that. Pennsylvania has had very excessive sentencing for a long time. Philadelphia's supervision, for example, on probation and parole at one time was 25 times the level of New York City, which is only 90 minutes away. But all of those numbers have gone in an extremely positive direction. At the same time as today, we have the lowest number of homicides on the 11th of March that we have seen in over 50 years. This is getting done the right way. You stop locking up people and wasting all that money who don't need to be there, and you use that money for stuff that works. You get safety. That's how it works in other countries. That's how it works in some enlightened states. And let me tell you where it never works. Republican states. We can talk about that.
Thank you. Okay, let me just repeat the question for Judge Dugan. How can anti-violence community programs help prepare formerly incarcerated people for future life experiences?
I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. We certainly have to put those programs on steroids. So what I did as a judge is diversion courts. I'm the national leader when it comes to veterans court. I was involved with mental health court and Dawn's court. I was responsible for a lot of that. And I would take young defendants, young men in my courtroom in a van and go to Graterford Prison and sit down with lifers. I'd go in there and hug Omar Glass. Man in there is in his 80s, he's blind. And I would bring these young defendants, these young men from my courtroom to go in there and have a sit down, a round table with these folks so that we're not putting more people in jail. And those men that are stuck in there, that are going to die in jail, we need to take a look at that if we can reintegrate them into society. But these men took peer specialist classes just so they could talk to these young veterans so they didn't become cellmates.
Thank you. Next question.
Might as well just ask you as well. Do you think that Philadelphia has a problem with over-sentencing?
Well, I can tell you we used to, but I have a problem with accountability at times when a person with an AK-47, that's a weapon of war, goes to 54th and Delancey, not far from here, I believe, and shoots a store owner who's out washing his car. AK-47, puts him in a wheelchair. You know where that guy's at now? He sold his store, he's still in a wheelchair, and the accountability and the offer that he took was for 3.5 years incarceration. Yes, we have over-sentenced people in the past, but to go the opposite direction for somebody with a weapon of war with a 7.62 round, that's a direct offer from the district attorney's office for shooting your neighbor, leaving him in a wheelchair.
Yo. This is not that forum, bro. Thank you.
Echoing Shaka, for those of you who have just come in, please silence your phones. If I'm getting distracted or candidates are getting distracted, thank you. All right, we're moving to the community engagement section of the program.
Excuse me, say that again, please.
All right, we're moving to the community engagement section of the questions for our candidates. What is your plan to engage with the community as it relates to crime prevention strategies? Yes, sir.
So, the truth is that the best way to deal with public safety is a way that is holistic, and part of what our office has done was we tried to break the paradigm of how support for community-based organizations goes. There's somebody in this room right now who loudly advocated for $100 million for prevention, and they all looked at her like she was crazy, and then I said it too, and then they thought she was twice as crazy, because I agreed, and it was right. It was the right thing to do. We had access to forfeiture money, which is money basically taken off of people who are committing crimes that is not returnable to them. We can't use it for our payroll, and we made a decision to invest that with micro grants and community-based.
That's Tom.
No.
Oh, that wasn't our time. Please, 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 everyone, silence your phones. Sorry about
It's
that.
all right.
Please silence your phone. That sounds like one of our alarms.
My apologies. I think I have about 30 seconds left. But anyway, we saw that what was going on is that the city, which does of course support prevention, was really only supporting larger organizations, and they had to wait for reimbursement at the end of all their expenditures. That does not work for really effective mom and pop groups who are doing it out of their own energy. They need the money up front. We gave it up front. They needed a little bit so that they could build their portfolio. And not only did they do absolutely great work, but we saw later they were qualifying for much bigger grants from the state or from the Fed because they had.
That's our time right there, though. That is our time. Thank you.
Judge Dugan, this one's for you as well. What is your plan to engage with the community as it relates to crime prevention strategies?
Yeah, there are obviously some groups out there that are fantastic. We have to continue that. The micro grants, yes, when I have stuff like that, I'm certainly going to pass that around. But I think we also have to come down to the micro grant, the microcosm of a neighborhood. If there's a heinous crime committed in your neighborhood, don't you think you should be aware of when the court date is? If you're a victim, if your family member has been a murder victim, don't you think that it is owed to you to get a call from a district attorney to make sure you show up? Too many people don't get those calls. I saw it almost every day in my courtroom. Close to 70% of the cases that come in front of me would be withdrawn because the witnesses weren't contacted. And yes, there's always an issue finding witnesses. But if it's systemic, you're not doing the job right. They're not being trained properly. That's not my words. That's attorneys who've left the office saying they're not trained. They don't know how to contact witnesses, believe it or not. That has to come down to that community engagement level.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you both for those responses. Continuing with our community engagement section, DA Krasner, in terms of community engagement, how would you deal with organizations who disagree with you on policy?
We do it all the time. In fact, I have a meeting coming this Friday. Some people in this room even know about it, where they have issues with some of the things we've done. We've been working through them over a period of time. Doesn't mean we're always going to agree, but it means I need to hear that. I need to hear it from people within the office. I need to hear it from outside the office, and we need to work on solutions together. I think that's actually very important, very constructive to hear from people when they disagree with you. So we will continue doing that. Now, having said that, I do think that people need to understand that sometimes they have a view of a particular crime or a group of people, whatever it may be, and that view doesn't always comport with reality. I am very much in favor of juvenile justice reform. We've done a whole lot around it. But there is some controversy about it, and sometimes the controversy is coming from people who think that juveniles never commit serious crimes. I mean, there's a guy in state custody right now who murdered 4 people and escaped from jail. He did all of this as a juvenile. He was a hitman. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
All right, thank you for that response. Judge Dugan, the same question. What Excuse me, in terms of community engagement, how would you deal with organizations who disagree with you on policy?
You have to sit down and talk. You have to listen to ideas. You have to bring other people in. The one thing that I'll never tell anybody is that I know all the answers. As the president judge for 5 years, I made sure I surrounded myself with good lieutenants, and I would continue to talk to people. I will never surround myself with yes men and women. Like the President of the United States seems that he has to have yes men and women around him. Anybody disagrees with him. And I think sometimes when we have policies that are coming out of the district attorney's office, and when you talk about their training, it's almost the same thing going on there. Everybody's got to be a yes man. Talk to the attorneys who've left the office. They were afraid to say something different. I'm not making this stuff up, folks. This is what attorneys have said. They've written articles. You could Google them and find them.
Thank you. Thank you, Pat.
Okay, DA Krasner. What is your understanding of the role of the Public Safety Director? And how could the DAO, District Attorney's Office, be innovative in its relationship with that office in the service of communities that experience public safety threats and crises?
So the truth is that the Public Safety Director is a relatively recent invention in this city, and it remains to be seen if it's valuable or not. Simply put, that Public Safety Director happens to be someone who used to work for me and does not work for me anymore. I'm happy to talk to anybody who's trying to get it done, but let's understand there's a separation of powers. Judges are entitled to their independence. The DA's office is independently elected, does not work directly for the mayor, but the Public Safety Director does. So we need to remember these are separate entities and that we do not all work for a single one. This is fundamental to our democracy. I hope it will turn out to be a good thing, but I would say at this point it is a work in progress.
Would you repeat that question, please?
Yeah. Okay. So, but I feel like it. Are you looking to work with them?
I am looking to achieve justice, which means more safety and more freedom. And I'm looking to work with any entity that is looking to do that.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to make sure we had that. Okay, Judge Dugan, what is your understanding of the role of the Public Safety Director? And how could the District Attorney's Office be innovative in its relationship with that office in the service of communities that experience public safety threats or crises?
I think the office was created directly because of the inefficiencies coming out of the district attorney's office trying to prevent this. I think that I will work with Mayor Parker and her policies in conjunction as a partner. I will try to let Mr. Gear point us to some things that perhaps we should be doing. Perhaps some initiatives we should be involved with. Perhaps we should do the gun violence intervention a little bit more. I'm willing to listen to everyone. I will play well in the sandbox.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Thank you both. So we are now moving to the direct question segment. So each question we are... y'all done? Because this is a new section. Thank you. We are now moving to the direct question segment. So the questions that we ask each of you will be directed to you and to you only.
And just a reminder, this is 2 minutes, correct?
Yes, sir.
2 minutes. Y'all have 2 minutes.
Judge Dugan, this first one is for you. Do you believe children should be prosecuted as adults? What steps would you take in office to keep children's cases out of the adult court system? And under what circumstances would you charge a juvenile in adult court?
Starting off, the answer should be no. There will be exceptions, and it's obvious when someone has an extreme indifference to human life, murder, brutal rape, then I believe they would have to be charged as adults, as much as you don't want to. But when somebody is a, quote, accomplice to a third-degree murder, or third-degree murder when they're the lookout, they're not the one who pulled the trigger, those are juveniles that we should be grabbing and looking to do some restorative, rehabilitative type justice before it's too late. But we have to take a serious look when the crimes are that violent.
All right, thank you for that response. Still on the topic of youth justice, this next question is for DA Krasner. When you ran in 2017, you pledged to treat kids as kids. The current practice of your office includes coercive plea deals and juveniles held in uninhabitable adult facilities. How do you account for this change?
Okay, so I'm going to ask everybody to listen carefully because I think it's important that people understand what is actually going on. I do not control the juvenile facilities. I wish I did. They would be completely different. What happened is a whole bunch of snake pits got closed, and then people who hate the fact that I'm trying to keep juveniles in the juvenile system thought the best way to manage that was to make sure there were no facilities that could be expanded, that were humane, that would be for juveniles who commit serious offenses but should be addressed in the juvenile system. I am pushing back on that. And when you push back on that, it means that by keeping some of those juveniles out of the adult system, you have more juveniles in the juvenile system. That is not a problem, that is a plus. But what we need to do is we need to keep up the pressure, which I do every day, for the state and the city to either come with contracts or with construction to come up with humane facilities that are good for dealing with juveniles at that level. So that is not actually a change. That's something that I think is very, very important. In the meantime, there's also been a change in federal law requiring juveniles not to be near adults. That has had certain consequences. But once again, we can either just give in to their philosophy, which is to eliminate the juvenile system and put all these kids in adult court, or we can fight back, which is what I have been doing. And I hope people understand that. In terms of the coercive plea statement, I mean, let me just say this. There is one thing that I do regret that happened with our juvenile activity, which is that early on I said, because I believe this, that when you put kids back in the juvenile system from the adult system, they should not have to make a commitment to plead guilty. They should go back there and we'll deal with it there, and if they end up pleading guilty, good. That was not always followed by some people in my office. I'm not blaming them, it's on me, because I run that office. But it was also the consequence of certain judges who make the decision. I don't make the decision about whether this case goes back into juvenile. I go in there and make recommendations.
Tom, that's Tom. Thank you, Larry. Appreciate you. Pat?
Okay. We'll wait.
Please silence your phones. Please silence your phones. Put your phones on Do Not Disturb, and it won't go off. Silence off. Thank you. Yes, can we pause for 1 second? And everyone, please check your phones. We have recordings going on in here. We have our candidates speaking, and it disrupts their train of thought, and it disrupts the recordings as well. So can everyone please just take a look at your phone, see if it's on the ring, and put it on Do Not Disturb. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. Moving into policy. For Judge Dugan, reminder, you have 2 minutes. One of your top 3 areas of focus for the DA's office is to specially assign district attorneys to 6 geographical areas in the city. How will you ensure fairness and how the appointed DAs handle prosecutions in their designated areas?
So the big thing I'm looking to do with this geographic assignment of senior assistant district attorneys is that there are 6 police divisions in the city of Philadelphia. And people from each area have questions all the time about what's going on with their case. So who is it that they need to talk to in the district attorney's office? If the senior assistant district attorney is assigned to Northwest, then you know that you can go talk to that senior assistant district attorney. So if it's a matter of your family being victims, you know who you can talk to. You know who's a supervisor. If you're going to community meetings, that assistant district attorney should be there at the PDAC, should be at meetings like this to answer your questions about specific dates and cases. Who's handling your case? This used to be done, it was done prior to 7 years ago, that senior district attorney, assistant district attorneys were assigned in that manner, and it stopped. And some people in this room have been not communicated with about what was going on with cases. You should have a point of contact that you in the community, you as a community leader, you as a person who there was a shooting on your block, but you want to know what's going on, because don't we want the block to come to court to see what's going on with that case in their neighborhood? Shouldn't that be communicated? The more lines of communication that we have with local folks down to the block area, the better justice can be served for the defendant, the victim, the neighborhood, the entire system. I just think that's something that we should bring back.
Quick follow-up. Can we give 20 seconds to this? What's going to be your process, and will it be diverse in terms of selecting these DAs?
My goal with the office is that the office should look like Philadelphia looks. And I would be looking to put senior, competent, assistant district attorneys throughout the city.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. DA Krasner, this question's for you. What processes or policies will you put into place to ensure full exoneration and prevent the pressures of offering guilty pleas to individuals who have demonstrated their innocence?
I mean, if they demonstrated their innocence, we drop the case. Everybody knows that about this administration. I say that respectfully. There is no administration in the history of the city, and almost none in the United States, that have been as vigorous about trying to find people who have been denied of their rights or who are innocent and get them out of jail. And that even goes to the point of my advocating for years for a collaboration with the Philadelphia Police Department on cold cases, not just to find innocent people who took the place of the guilty ones, but to go back and find the guilty ones who got away, as happened with Anthony Wright and Ronnie Bird, who's the one who actually committed that crime. We just couldn't be any more serious about it, and we are recognized as national leaders in this regard. Now, obviously, there's always more work to do. Our conviction integrity unit usually has about 10 lawyers, if that, and it has a list of more than 1,000 people who are seeking relief. Some of those cases will take 4 years. They're extremely labor intensive. So in multiple budget cycles, I have asked the city, can you give me 20 lawyers instead of 10? Can you give me 30 lawyers instead of 10? We haven't gotten there yet. I've asked for this cold case unit. We haven't gotten there yet. But with more resources, whether they're from, well, they ain't coming from the Fed, but more resources, whether they're coming from grants or they're coming from the city, we can do this work more quickly. But we are doing as much as we possibly can, and frankly, we are seen as a standard of excellence throughout the country for the quality of that work.
Thank you for that. Our next question is for Judge Dugan. Judge Dugan, if elected as Philadelphia's district attorney, will you keep the Conviction Integrity Unit, CIU, in place to give justice to incarcerated people with innocence claims? If not, please explain why. And if yes, will you improve the CIU, and how will you do that?
It's not a 2-minute answer. It's absolutely we'll keep that unit. But again, I will make sure that every case is vetted so I don't have a federal judge question the integrity of the motion that our people put in. And that's a fact. Judge Goldberg said it. I want to make sure that that's not happening. So I would want my attorneys to go back and vet, due diligence, and make sure that we're not putting something in front of a judge who's got to make that determination, that we're giving them some falsehoods, we're giving them some inaccuracies, we're giving them some omissions, that we contacted a family when they didn't. But they tell a judge that we contacted the family of the murder victims. That is part of the stuff that I cannot tolerate, even in a great unit like that. We need to make sure that each and every case is vetted properly.
Thank you. I want to add a question, and this question is for both of you, and it will be 1 minute if you choose to use the whole minute. So both of y'all spoke about the conviction integrity unit and how it's understaffed and it's approximately 4,000 cases, about 1,000 or so cases that's still in the pipeline that has not been dealt with yet. So my question to you would be, to you first, Pat Dugan, and then to Larry. My question would be, would you use some of the organizations that we have in the city to do some of that vetting of cases where they can provide the information of whether they're possibly factually innocent, right, and wrongly convicted? For example, we have the Innocence Project. Could the Innocence Project take the case? We have Second Justice. Can Second Justice take it? Can Amistad Law Project take it? Can Abolitionist Law Center take it? This is what we want to know, because one of the things that I see is I think the office could actually, like subcontract with these different entities and even some of the universities who have law schools. So would you be interested in doing that to get rid of this caseload if you were elected into office?
It sounds like one hell of an idea. I would certainly take a look at that, because the more hands on deck who can help, I have to make sure that that is something that we would be allowed to do. But the more people that come in and vet it, I think would be better for the system. But I would also want to make sure that it's my prosecutors who are overseeing it, that ultimately it's them that are doing it. But yes, we should try to form partnerships that we can do that.
Thank you. Craftsman?
So those organizations are already involved, but they're involved in representing the individuals who are seeking relief, and that is a good system. We also have a pro bono law firm that's basically set up to take people who don't have attorneys, and they represent on that side as well. So that is already underway in a different way, and it's meaningful. When the Innocence Project gives us 150 pages of investigation and careful analysis, that can be very, very meaningful. And any of the other organizations, a lot of them are great too. The one idea that you suggested that is different, that I do actually really like, is law schools, because we could have law students coming in as interns to assist. They don't have the trial experience, they can't do deep dives like our attorneys can, but they can assist in ways that are important. So that is something that we could supplement. The truth is we have these internships, but a lot of them got very disturbed during the pandemic, and to me that seems like a constructive direction for us to go. Let us understand though, when we're talking about Judge Goldberg, this is a right-wing Republican judge who was in the office when all these innocent people were being put in jail. That's what you're hearing about here, okay? We are constantly under attack by the Judge Goldbergs and the Judge Dugans and these other people who fundamentally do not believe in our mission. And we're constantly told that what we do, even when it's good enough or better than good enough, is not good enough, because they don't want us to do it at all. That's the truth.
So you're not going to call me some right-wing judge, Larry. You're not going to do that here. That is just uncalled for you to call me a right-wing judge, right? Was I a right-wing judge when I found your 10 clients not guilty?
Let me just say this. I didn't say you were a right-wing judge. However, this is a good time for you to condemn Donald Trump so all the people in the Northeast can see it. Should we do that?
No.
Are you kidding me?
No, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not.
Come on, hey, excuse me, calm down, y'all. Calm
Why
down,
would you
please.
condemn
Can we let him speak?
your unethical campaign the last time? You took all that money when you weren't supposed to be taking it and paying campaign workers. I categorically denounce Donald Trump and his policies. The guy's a nut. I mean, come on. But wait a minute. We're not running against Donald Trump. We're running against each other. Stop running against Trump and run against the safety of the city of Philadelphia.
All right, thank y'all. I appreciate it.
Petitions in. Did Trump put his
Yes.
petitions in?
Okay, we good. We good. We got that out the way. We good now? Let's keep it going.
I'm good.
Next question.
Well, that's a brilliant segue to the public safety section and a reprieve for our candidates. It's the last section of our questions. DA Krasner, after the passage of Act 40 and attacks from Harrisburg legislators, what steps is your office taking to effectively address gun violence in Philadelphia. And for those of you who need some awareness about what Act 40 is, it directs a special prosecutor be appointed by the Attorney General's office to handle crimes on the city's mass transit system, also known as SEPTA.
So just so you all know, Act 40 is still on appeal to the Supreme Court because apparently your votes don't count as much in Philadelphia. If you're in Philadelphia, we need to have 2 prosecutors. That second prosecutor, by the way, someone who finished, I think, 5th when he ran against me in 2017, that Republican, we're back to Republicans, like the ones who signed your petition, but that Republican has not taken a single case. He has not taken a single case. What he's done is take the equivalent of my salary, even though he's independently wealthy, and spent $1.2 million on his own campaign to do absolutely nothing. And if you doubt me, go look at Lauren Make's interview with him in which he talks about how SEPTA is happy with our prosecutions and he's going to focus on things like turnstile jumping.
Excuse me, I want to step in. I want to remind the crowd that both candidates are Democratic candidates. Both candidates are Democratic candidates.
I love primaries. How about y'all?
Let's give it up for Alicia, y'all. Thank you. Let's get this question in the way, y'all.
All right, so this next question is for Judge Dugan. The question is, how would you support victims of police officers' criminal actions?
I will support victims of all crimes the way that victims should be treated, with respect and dignity and communication. They should be communicated with. The district attorney's office should, their victims' advocates, their attorneys, their paralegals, they should be reaching out to each and every individual victim in the city of Philadelphia. That doesn't occur much anymore. In reference to Act 40, I know about the Republicans and all that up in Harrisburg, but why the hell aren't we prosecuting people for crimes on SEPTA? That was part of the reason, because they're not being prosecuted for the crimes on SEPTA. But no, all victims, no matter who the perpetrator is, need to be treated with dignity and respect.
Okay. The next question is for our incumbent, DA Krasner. From 2017 to 2023, Philadelphia averaged 410 homicides a year. The highest ever, dating back to 1960. Your campaign runs on the concept that Philadelphia is safer with you. With that information, how is that so?
So thank you for the question. I was not in office in 2017. That was Seth Williams, who was going to jail.
2018 to 2023 then.
Oh, I understand, but you said 2017.
2017 it started. That's an average.
Okay, well, it's not my average because I wasn't there in 2017.
Okay, let me restate it.
Yeah.
From 2018 to 2023, Philadelphia averaged 410 homicides a year. The highest ever, dating back to 1960.
All right, I'm not going to get into the math of how 2017 is in and out. It's the same number. I'm just going to keep moving. But the bottom line is everybody here is aware there was a thing called a pandemic, and everybody is aware that every criminologist in the United States agrees that we have experienced in the last 5 years the largest increase in gun violence in United States history and the largest decrease in 2024 in United States history. If you actually look at how Philadelphia has done, and I'm speaking now of the last 5 years, if you look at how Philadelphia has done, we have been doing better, even better, and way better than the national average of public safety improvement in big cities, cities over 1 million. Last year, we were reported to lead the nation among big cities in public safety improvement. And let me get more specific. We reached the peak, the whole country did, Philly did too. It was awful. There's absolutely no question about it. It was horrifying. And then the rest of the country, big cities came down 8%. We came down 11%. The next year, the rest of the country came down 13%. We came down 20%. The next year, last year, the rest of the country came down about 22%. We came down 35%. And now we are so low that as of today's date, it appears to be the lowest number of homicides in the last 55 years. The number of homicides right now is way below where it was when I came into office in 2018. We can pretend the pandemic didn't happen, or we can claim Krasner caused the pandemic. Why not? Why not blame me for that too? We can do that, but I think we all know a heck of a lot better than that. And we know that a lot of the things that have been done collaboratively with government, with community-based organizations have made that difference.
That's Tom.
Got a
Thank you.
quick follow-up. DA. Okay. So, everyone knows that the pandemic occurred in 2020. So 2018 to 2020, right? And then the pandemic occurs. Pandemic ended around 2022, let's say, for fairness. Leading into 2023. Okay. So it took a dive, right? 40%. It went down in 2024. Now today, right, I think it's at like 39 for this year so far, somewhere around there in the 30s.
37.
So what have you done differently? What have you done differently in the DA's office that's improved this? And how would that continue should you be reelected?
Understood. So one of the things that we did is we turned the Gun Violence Task Force into the equivalent of a federal-style prosecution entity. This is an entity that now has forensic tools that the FBI doesn't have, forensic tools that nobody had before. They include license plate readers, they include machines that will crack open cell phones. It includes social media analysts who are spending all day on social media looking at screens. These tools were not there in 2017 or 2018, but they're tools that we have obtained, and we've obtained through strong efforts. The FBI, the DEA, the ATF, the Philadelphia police come to us all the time. There was a time in this city when they would crack open 50, 60 phones. We're going to crack open 1,000 phones this year, 1,000. And those are coming off of people involved in shootings. They're coming off of people involved in very high-level drug dealing, which connects to shootings. It has made a difference. This is why we're able to say young bag chasers effectively shut down. 0 to the 4, go to the jail. Or just yesterday, we were talking about the big napkin.
Thank you. That's Tom.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we are nearing the end of our question and answer segment, and our final question goes to Judge Dugan. Capital punishment is legal in Pennsylvania. Would you ever seek the death penalty? And if so, what criteria would you consider for seeking it?
Certainly there's a moratorium right now on capital punishment here in the state of Pennsylvania, and I understand it. I cannot sit here and tell you that I would never consider it. If somebody walked into a restaurant and a bar and shot 59 people and killed them, if somebody was in a hotel, God forbid, shot down on the Parkway and killed, 112 people, these are some pretty heinous crimes. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I would never consider it. But yeah, there are some heinous crimes where that might come on the table from you. I can't deny that to you.
Just to follow up to that response, what criteria would you use to consider the death penalty?
It would have to be one of those exceptions, a person who walks into one of our schools and shoots 26 of our kindergarten children. Those are some of the things that I would look at, but as a rule of thumb, I would not be looking for a capital punishment for murder cases. It would be a complete exception.
Okay, that concludes our questioning. We just want to say thank you to both candidates.
So I'd like to thank both candidates. We have one more round of closing remarks from each candidate. Each candidate will have 1 minute for closing remarks. Alicia, can we do another coin flip, please?
And this goes to Dugan.
Yes, to Dugan.
Heads.
All right.
As it is.
I'm going to defer. I'm going to punt.
Punt.
Do I have that option?
Yes, you
Yes.
I'm going to defer. I'll defend this. Go over here.
Krasner is on you, my guy.
Let me just say this, I'm not gonna punt, I'm gonna keep doing this job. And I'm gonna do it with the Philly special, and I'm gonna do it with the tush push, and I'm gonna do it the way it needs to get done. I'm not just gonna punt, but I am gonna say this. We all know that words are cheap in an election cycle, okay? Do your research. Why don't you go look at the Philadelphia Police Department's publicly available data, and you'll see that the numbers that I've given you are correct. Why don't you go look at the video of the Josie case, the one that was decided by this judge with his wife, a uniformed police officer, well, at least a police officer.
Don't put my
in the
wife's
room.
name in your mouth, young man.
Yeah, let's not go there.
Well,
Let's not
how
go
about
there.
this? Don't put her in your courtroom when you're deciding a cop's innocent. You have a video of
She's
this
a
committing
citizen.
You're gonna get a reply though.
crime. Okay. Everybody knows that should have been a recusal. You should never have a family member in the room, and everybody knows who sees that video that he was guilty. You need a DA who's going to put the truth ahead of ambition, the truth ahead of politics, and you know you already have that DA. Thank you.
Watch the videos of all those people who walked into the stores for the last 5 and 6 years and took whatever they wanted because of his policy. And you know what? We're talking about numbers of murder victims. Not numbers, they're people. It's 3,000 body bags in the last 7 years. That's 3,000 empty chairs at Thanksgiving dinner. It's 10,000 people with a round in their body. There's no way we should be cheering that our city is safe, because it's not. If we finally had a downturn, it's about time. But what about the other 6 years? What about those 3,000 victims? What about all those stores that are going to leave us because of your retail theft policy of let them go? Let them go, Larry.
Okay. No. We're not having any questions from the audience because all the questions